everyone, it's Sarah, and for this week's video I'm going to be doing kind of like a part 2 to the first video that I did a couple of weeks ago. It was my Lifelab testing video where I basically did a blood test to figure out what I am allergic or intolerant to. So make sure to leave a link up in the card for you guys to go check that out. But basically this week I have my results, I know what I'm allergic and intolerant to, so I'm going to share that with you guys. So I have the PDF on my computer here, so I'm going to be looking at my results, but I'll also put a record of it on the screen here so you guys can see what I'm seeing. Okay, so basically I'm going to go through the allergies part first, and basically they kind of give you a definition of what an allergy is and what an intolerance is. So basically it looks at food and inhalant allergies, and it looks at 40 different things. So it says an allergy is the body's immune system responding to what would normally be considered a harmless substance. The body perceives the substance to be a threat and produces an inappropriate response. So basically something that would be normal in some other people, your body perceives as a threat. And basically to test this for the food and inhalant allergies, so inhalant are like animals, kind of dusts and stuff like that, they look at the IgE antibody levels in your body. So basically, if you are allergic to something, there are more of these IgE antibodies that are produced, and that basically shows that you're allergic to it. So now I'm going to go over quickly what an intolerance is as well, just so we don't get those confused. So whereas an intolerance, they check for 80 items, and it is a difficulty digesting certain foods and experiencing physical symptoms as a result of eating them. So to test for food intolerances, they look at IgG4 antibodies. And basically, I was a little confused. I'm like, but I'm allergic to some things and not intolerant to others. Wouldn't you think if I was allergic to something, I'd be intolerant to it? What it kind of comes down to is how fast you react to it. So basically, if you react within the first half hour to 2 hours, then you are likely allergic to it because it's happening faster in your body. But if it takes a couple hours for you to actually react to it, it's likely an intolerance. So now what you've all been waiting for, what am I allergic and intolerant to? I am not allergic to any seafood. So they tested 4 different types. They tested cod, crab, salmon, and shrimp, and I have no reaction to it. Then they tested meat, and I have a score of 100 as a high reaction to allergic to meat. But I'll come back to that in 1 second. And then it tested for grains and starch, and it basically says I'm not allergic to any of the grains, as you can see on the screen here. I'm also not allergic to any nuts and seeds or any vegetables. I'm not allergic to beans, poultry, nothing. Now, the next thing that I'm allergic to, with a score of 87.10, I'm allergic to milk, which is something that I kind of had an idea that I was either intolerant or didn't settle well with me, so I kind of expected this one. So basically, since I have such a fast reaction to having milk, it's considered an allergy rather than an intolerance. And now we're coming back to the meat portion of it. So basically, I was very confused why I was allergic to meat. So basically, I reached out to Lifelab Testing, kind of asking why, and their nutritional expert got in touch with me and basically kind of explained why I might be allergic to it. So basically, it could be linked to a particular animal. It doesn't mean I'm 100% allergic to meat in general, but more of a particular animal. And then she looked at my results and saw that I was also allergic to milk. And milk and beef come from the same animal, a cow. But yeah, so that's kind of explained to me why I was allergic to the meat. So now we'll keep going down. I'm not allergic to any fruit at all, nothing, no tree pollen allergies, no grass pollen allergies, weed pollen, I kind of had an idea. I've never ever had any symptoms like that. But then it comes down to pets, and it says horsehair and cat hair I am allergic to, horsehair more so than cat hair, and that kind of makes sense. I don't have like a really skin reaction to them, but I do remember when I was younger, if I've touched a cat or a horse, if I then go and kind of rub it around my face, I will start to get itchy and sneezy and stuff like that, so that makes sense. And now it doesn't say I'm allergic to dog hair, and I've never really had any symptoms for dog hair, so that made sense. Then it says I don't have a dust allergy, no insects, mold, nothing. Okay, so now we are on to the intolerances. So it says I have a medium intolerance to blue mussel in the seafood category, but nothing else that I am intolerant to. Next come meats, and as it shows up, I do have a low intolerance to beef. So that's interesting because that could have something to do with my allergy. Basically, if you have an allergy and it shows that you aren't intolerant to it, the allergy kind of takes precedence over the intolerance, because the only difference is that your reaction happens quicker. So you are going to have a reaction no matter what. And then as we scroll down, grains and starch. So I have a high score of 100 for durum wheat, which I actually never even realized, and then I had spaghetti last night and it was made of durum wheat, and I did not feel well a couple hours later, so clearly I am intolerant to it. Then it says I'm also intolerant to spelt and wheat, And then I have a medium and then low average for rye, barley, and millet. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. And then all the other grains I have no reaction to. And now we'll scroll down to the nuts and seeds, and it just says I have a medium intolerance to peanuts, but since it's such a low intolerance to it, it doesn't really affect my body much, so I still eat peanuts all the time, and then no other intolerances towards any of the other nuts. Now for vegetables, I have a small intolerance to carrot, zucchini, tomato, and button mushroom. Now I don't know about zucchini, tomato, or button mushroom, but I have carrots all the time and they don't really seem to affect me, again since it is such a low intolerance to it. Then I am not intolerant to any of the other vegetables. For beans, I am low intolerant to soy and then green beans, and then I'm not intolerant to any of the other beans. Now for poultry, it says I am highly intolerant to egg white and egg yolk, but I do have eggs a lot, and I've never paid attention if I've had any symptoms after them. It's showing here that I have a high intolerance to them, and now I don't really remember having a super adverse reaction to them, maybe because intolerances take a lot longer for you to feel, and that's why I've never kind of put 2 and 2 together. But overall, they don't overly seem to bother me that much, so I don't think I'm going to overly eliminate them from my diet. Milk and cheeses, I'm not intolerant to anything, but since I have a dairy allergy, that kind of like takes precedence over everything, so I have completely cut out dairy out of my diet. Fruits, I have a low intolerance to banana, strawberry, pineapple, and orange. Again, since it's low, I don't really have to cut them out of my diet, and then I'm not intolerant to any of the other fruits. Now there's miscellaneous items. It says I have a low intolerance to gluten, mustard, and baker's yeast. Again, low intolerance. Don't really seem to affect me, so I'm not going to cut it out. Now we get to the final part of the PDF here that shows about your recommendation. Basically, it kind of gives you more information just regarding your results. So it says, important information on eliminating foods. If you have any reactive foods in the allergy section, we would recommend removing these from the diet. So they may be low, medium, or high. So basically they recommend if you have any allergies, eliminate them. And then it says for the intolerance section, if you have any reactive foods in the intolerances section, we would recommend those with a high reaction level by following an elimination diet and then slowly reintroducing the foods. And now again, they do say something about test results and symptoms, which is kind of what I was saying earlier. It says we are unique and individual, and this is particularly important to remember when considering physical symptoms and the impact of food and drink we have. A high sensitization in testing may mean mild or no symptoms to some, while others may experience debilitating symptoms and may have low sensitization in testing. So that's just what I was saying earlier. Eggs, I seem to have a high level of reactivity to, whereas others may have a high level and their body can't handle it. So kind of just read your body, understand what your symptoms are and what you're feeling, because everyone is going to be different ultimately. And at the very end, they basically say, well, what happens next? You're probably wondering, well, if I'm allergic and intolerant to this and I want to not feel sick anymore, what do I have to do? And they recommend an elimination diet. They say an elimination diet is the removal of those foods which have been identified as causing an allergic or intolerant reaction from your daily diet. So it's basically kind of just eliminating those foods entirely. And so basically they give a step-by-step process on how to do it. So I will leave a link down below to their website so you can go and check it out yourself and kind of read all about the elimination diet and different ways to kind of reintroduce foods. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video and enjoyed seeing what I'm allergic and intolerant to, because some of it did come as a surprise to me. But if you do take this test and you do have results that are a little confusing to you, remember everyone reacts differently. It may show up that you are high intolerant to it, but your body just may be able to deal with it better than other people. So yeah, I will leave a link down below again to their website. Thank you so much, Lifelab Testing, for sending me this test, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. Bye.